Everyone. My name is Cheyenne. Welcome back to the People Mover Travel YouTube channel. We're so excited to have you here. We have a little trio today of me and my two favorite Santa's elves. We are here today in July when it is about 100 degrees outside to talk about the holidays. We are so excited. It is Christmas in July, halfway to the holidays. We are so excited to share everything there is to know about celebrating the holidays at the Disney parks on both coasts. So, welcome back. I have with me Stephanie. I have Haley. You're going to hear so much from both of them. So, we are going to jump in, and we're very excited to start off by sharing a little bit of information. We won't bore you to tears with too many slides, I promise. We're going to talk a little bit about the holidays in general at the theme parks. We're going to talk about the ticketed events, which I know are kind of the most exciting times. And we're going to talk about Disneyland Resort and all the magical things that they do. We are then going to jump into answering some of your questions. We got some really great questions coming in. And we are also answering questions live in this chat box, which is over on one of the sides of me. You'll see it. So if you have a question that covers anything about visiting the Disney parks during the holiday season, please drop it in that chat box and we will have one of our agents pop an answer. And you can also put it in the comments box and we will give you an answer there as well. We are happy to give out answers. So we are going to start off, like I said, going over a few different slides with some information about the holidays, and then we're going to answer some of your questions. So I'm going to pass it off to our Christmas extraordinaire number one, magical elf number one. Haley, take it away. Let me share my screen.
Well, thanks, Cheyenne, and thanks again, everyone, for coming back to the channel, or welcome if you're a first-time viewer on here. I'm so excited to be here talking with you guys today about the holiday season, or the most magical time of the year at the Disney parks. And there's so much to see and do, whether you're visiting Walt Disney World Resort or Disneyland, or planning to visit either coast. And we're going to talk a little bit about kind of what is involved when it comes to visiting the parks during the holiday season. In general, Disney does start decorating their parks in beginning of November. And really the holiday celebration starts just after Halloween. Let's be real here. So Cheyenne, if you want to take us to our first slide here, we can talk a little bit about what's all a part of that, how Disney celebrates the holidays. Over at the Walt Disney World Resort, there are a few special ticketed events that we're going to be talking about, both Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party at Magic Kingdom Park and the kind of newer of the bunch, Jollywood Nights over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. But otherwise, there's decorations out the wazoo all across Walt Disney World and Disneyland. All of the resort hotels get dressed up, which is really fun. There's giant Christmas trees everywhere to be found. And one of my favorite parts about the holidays at the parks are the exclusive entertainment, merchandise, food and beverage offerings, characters in their fun holiday themed outfits. You name it, there's so much to see and do every single day, no matter where you're visiting a Disney park here in the US. So if we go to the next slide and talk a little bit about Walt Disney World first in particular, the holiday season and in general, like I mentioned, will run from early November through New Year's at the Walt Disney World Resort. All four parks are going to be dressed up, decked out to the nines, and all the resort hotels, like I mentioned as well. And it's really a celebration of all different holidays. While Christmas gets a lot of the credit, the other holidays that are celebrated at that time of year do get some special nods as well. And we'll talk about that a little bit when we answer your questions here. But you can see all sorts of decorations, trees, lights, everything across all of the resort hotels in the theme parks, as mentioned. And then Disney loves their festive entertainment and themed food and beverage offerings, and they really lean into the exclusivity of the holidays when you're visiting between those date ranges. Additionally, if you remember from our last YouTube video on our Epcot festivals, my personal favorite, the International Festival of Holidays, is going to be celebrated at Epcot this year from November 29th through December 30th officially. And if you want to learn more about what's offered there, I definitely recommend checking out that video. But all of the theme park is going to be decorated with all different cultural celebrations, lots of exclusive entertainment, including the kind of marquee event, the Candlelight Processional. And that's definitely not one to be missed. As I mentioned before, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party is celebrated over at Magic Kingdom Park, as well as Disney Jollywood Nights over at the Disney Hollywood Studios Park. But there's a lot of really fun holiday entertainment and offerings to be had and celebrated during just regular daily operations. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. Animal Kingdom also gets decked out too, and really celebrates the kind of natural beauty of winter and the winter holidays. And Disney Springs even gets in on the fun with the Christmas tree stroll. This is one of my personal favorites, and even better, no park admission necessary to go check that out. But Disney Springs really celebrates Christmas with tons of decorations. Again, lots of themed food and beverage, exclusive merchandise and entertainment. And that Christmas tree stroll is not one to be missed, which I mean, I feel like it grows every single year with more theming and more snow and things like that. They're all added every year to that part of the Disney Springs celebration. So if we want to talk first a little bit about Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, this is the hard ticketed event at Disney's Magic Kingdom Park. Definitely kind of the most iconic, I guess you could say, or recognizable event of the whole holiday season at Walt Disney World. It is an after-hours event that runs from 7 p.m. to midnight on select nights. And for this season, it's going to be running starting November 8th. Yes, November 8th. So like I said, not long after Halloween through December 20th. Prices are going to range depending on the night itself. The closer you get to Christmas, the cost does go up a little bit more. Prices are going to range from about $169 to $219 per person, depending on the date. And kids are at a little bit of a discount as well. And even better is you can enter the Magic Kingdom Park as early as 4 p.m. on your party night with your party ticket. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we start to answer your questions and give some tips. But this is where you're going to see a special parade, special stage show, some really exclusive characters in their holiday best. I think one of the more popular ones being like the Seven Dwarfs all decked out, Jack Skellington in his Santa Claus suit, which is a really fun one. So definitely one not to be missed. And I don't think there's a more special place to be than on Main Street during a very Merry Christmas party night with the snow falling, enjoying a free cup of hot cocoa and snickerdoodle cookie. I mean, that sounds like perfection to me. But over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, they also have a hard ticketed event called Jollywood Nights. And this one, like I mentioned, is fairly new to the after hours game. This event runs from 7:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. on select nights running through November 9th to December 21st of this year. The schedule kind of alternates a little bit with Very Merry Christmas Party. So in theory, you can enjoy both of these events during your Walt Disney World vacation this holiday season. Prices are going to be a little bit different from Very Merry, around $159 to $189, again, depending on the date. And you can enter Hollywood Studios Park as early as 6 p.m. with this hard ticket. And here, again, festive entertainment, the iconic Hollywood Tower Hotel at the end of Sunset Boulevard, or more commonly known as the Tower of Terror, gets all decked out with some special projection mapping and lights. And again, just a lot of fun. That's kind of more catered to the older crowd in this party. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But still, tons of fun festive entertainment. And that themed food and beverage, like I mentioned before. So another fun event to take in during the holiday season. Over on the Disneyland resort side of the country, near my backyard here in Southern California, it's what they call the most magical time of the year at the happiest place on earth. I mean, you can't beat that. It officially runs from November 15th through New Year's this season. But little tip here, if you're going to be visiting at the end of October, you might start to see Sleeping Beauty Castle get some snow there, which is pretty fun to see, like on Halloween. But no hard ticketed events at Disneyland Resort this season. Instead, all of the holiday entertainment and offerings are going to be part of just daily operations here. So that's going to be at both Disneyland Park, Disney California Adventure Park, and the Downtown Disney District. The 3 resort hotels all get decked out. And of course, the local Anaheim area gets in on the celebrations as well. But there's going to be limited time entertainment over at the Disney Festival of Holidays at DCA. The iconic Christmas Fantasy Parade is coming back to Disneyland Park this year, which is not one to be missed. I feel like one of the things that people think about when it comes to the holidays at Disney are those toy soldiers from Babes in Toyland, and that's where they originated. So that's a really fun aspect of the holiday season at Disneyland. And then there's lots of really fun holiday themed attraction overlays. We'll talk about this in more detail when we get to your questions, but Small World all decked out in its holiday best and really celebrating lots of different, holidays and cultural celebrations during the winter season. The characters get some fun new holiday outfits for their meet and greets. So definitely not one to be missed there as well over the Disneyland side.
Thanks, Haley. I'm ready to go right now. When you were saying like the lights, the snickerdoodle, the cocoa, I was like, I'm there in my head. I'm there.
Right, sign me up.
I remember when I went to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, I stood in front of the castle for probably 20 minutes and I couldn't stop taking pictures because the lights were so beautiful. I couldn't stop. So
Agreed. They're gorgeous.
it's so pretty. Okay, speaking of Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, we're going to jump into our questions. This one, so Stephanie, you've said you've been 17, no, 10 times? How many times?
I mean, I think almost every year since 2017. So a lot. And a couple times I went twice in a year. So yeah, it is my favorite event at Disney World. I even went when they had the not Christmas party, the one that was an after hours event technically. I went that year too, and that one was actually really fun. So sad they didn't keep it up. But yeah, so I've been to way too many Christmas things, but I love Christmas.
I
So
saw this question and I thought of you because it seems like something you would do. Someone said pros and cons of doing a rope drop and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party in the same day, which is a crazy question, but I wanted to do
I have done it a couple times, not so much rope drop. I'm not that much of a rope dropper because I'm not an early morning gal, but we did do it once. And I mean, there are definitely some pros, if you're doing a Magic Kingdom rope drop and you're staying through to the party, you can often find that the crowd overall is lower at Magic Kingdom on a party day because a lot of people don't want to spend their ticket on a shorter day at the park. So they'll go to one of the other parks. So it can be a good use of your daytime ticket if you are looking for a lower crowd level overall. But it's a long day. It's a really long day. Just to get up, if you're thinking, rope drop, it can be as early as 7:30, 8, depending on how ambitious you are. That's, and you're talking about staying all the way at the park all the way until 12. Like that's a day. And if you're trying to do it with kids, I'm impressed. But I also think that it's not necessarily the best use of a day ticket because you're not going to get a full day in the park that's included as part of your ticket. So I generally would say skip rope drop, spend a day at the resort, spend a day at Disney Springs, have a good lunch or dinner before heading to the parks, and really get the most out of that party time because you're going to want to stay the whole night. At least I do.
Yeah, I think the getting a good lunch and dinner is important because it's a lot of sweet treats. And I feel like they're doing
Yep.
a little bit better job of bringing some savory in, but a lot of sweet treats. And like Haley said, you get the cookie and the hot drink at all the stops. It's a lot of sweets. So make
Yep.
sure you get something good and
Yep.
substantial in before you do that.
It's cookies. Last year they had eggnog, apple cider, and hot chocolate, and then they had all the cookies back again. So yeah, I mean, by the end of the night, you are sugar rushing and probably sugar crashing at the end of the night. So definitely, a couple of the restaurants do stay open for the party, so you can have dinner at the party. But it's not my favorite thing to do because you miss it at the party time. So I would say head to Disney Springs, head to a nearby resort, have a really good dinner, and then get there right at 4 to get to that party.
Love it. That kind of leads us into our next question, which was what is the best way to set yourself up for a successful party night when traveling with little ones? So if you are traveling with kiddos, Haley, do you have any top tips? I know you and I both have two little toddlers, and anything after 7 p.m. can be tricky, but I think it can be done.
It can get a little dicey, but it's definitely doable. And I foresee maybe a Walker and Wilder Christmas party night in our future. That would be really fun. But like Stephanie said, I think I'm personally of the camp of take that morning of your party day to sleep in, stay a little bit closer to home at your resort, or go to Disney Springs, check out that Christmas tree stroll, and really to set yourself up for success later. get in a good late nap. Even if your kiddo is kind of at that stage of like wanting to resist a nap, really try to get the whole family to nap. Even if I was traveling without my son, I would be taking that late day nap. Um, so take a little bit later nap in the day. Get that good meal in, like Steph mentioned, before you head to the park. So that way, when you're there, you can just start enjoying all that the party has to offer. What I would also recommend too, if you're not going to be dressed, in a special outfit for the party, is to go send your kid their PJs. It's a tip I actually picked up from another one of our agents, Kayla. Whether you're sending them in their PJs for the whole night or packing them to change into them later, it's going to make that transition from late night at the party back to the bus or wherever, back to your resort a lot easier. And plus, when you're at the Christmas party, like I've worn my Christmas PJs to a Christmas party event before. I wore my PJs when we went to Disneyland's Merriest Nights event, which I'm really hoping they bring that back someday because that was a lot of fun. So definitely recommend take advantage of that. And again, like in general, whether you're going to a party or not, I know this question is specifically about the party, but try to be as flexible as possible. What we always recommend for any day at the parks is kind of picking like your top 3 to 5 must do's and like really focusing on that so that anything else that you accomplish is gravy. With kids, you always have to be flexible in the event of meltdowns, just knowing when to fold, knowing when to pack it in for the night. So just be realistic there, and prioritize those few things to make sure that you're not feeling like you're constantly like running up against something that you're going to want to miss out on.
That's a great tip. When we went on our very first Disney trip with Walker, who was a year at that time, it was such a different mindset change you had to have going from single girls running around like crazy to now having a kiddo who's got a 3-hour nap in the middle of the day. You can get like stressed because you're not accomplishing everything. So that's such a great tip. I always try to remember myself too. I'm like, can't do it all. Can't do it all.
Yeah. And speaking of what Stephanie mentioned too, with all the sweet treats, there's still plenty of other food and beverage to enjoy. And I think Cheyenne, you mentioned like Disney's getting a lot better at offering more of those savory options too. But pack some of your go-to savory snacks so that way your kid isn't just surviving on cookies the whole night, because that's not going to be fun for anybody at midnight. So bring some crackers, pretzels, whatever that may be, pouches. I'm pretty sure my son is 50% applesauce at this point. Anything like that is always great to have in your park bag, no matter whether you're going to the party or otherwise.
Agreed. Pouches everywhere. Pouches can solve all problems.
Exactly.
Okay, switching gears a little bit, we had a question about are there any other holidays other than Christmas represented at the parks? I know Haley touched on this a little bit, but Stephanie, I want to hear your thoughts. And I know there's so many, and I'm always interested to hear what other people have to highlight as well.
So there's not a ton, it's important to see like a ton of other stuff. I know at Disneyland, there's usually a little Hanukkah set up in, I believe, Main Street windows at the Emporium. Yeah, so you will see, a Hanukkah display and I believe a Kwanzaa display as well in the windows at the Emporium on Main Street. And then, like Haley mentioned, Festival of the Holidays is really going to be where you see a lot of different holidays represented and celebrated. There's going to be, some like cultural information that they share. There's often that country's version of Santa Claus, if they have one, kind of running around and telling stories, which is really cute. And yeah, it's just a really fun event. And if you're interested in kind of winter holidays around the world, it's the place to be.
Yeah, and over at on the Disneyland side, to add on to Stephanie there, they do a really great job at their festival at DCA of also honoring lots of those multicultural, non-Christmas celebrations. So in years past, they've had celebrations of Ramadan, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. Mostly Kosher is a really like fun band celebrating Hanukkah traditions that they play a lot at DCA. So there's those two. I feel like Epcot on the East Coast and then DCA on the West Coast are like the best avenues for getting that additional, multicultural holiday celebrations.
Totally agree.
We had a question about the holiday parades, which I thought was a great question because I grew up watching the Disney holiday parades. I don't know. I don't think they always used to be on ABC. Maybe they did, but I watched them for a long time. Haley, can you talk a little bit about them filming it? Because I know it's kind of a weird schedule to do the actual holidays.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I admittedly learned a lot more about this as a cast member when I did my college program. But what they call now like their holiday celebration, it's not like their traditional parade filming anymore. Doesn't actually take place on Christmas. So if you're going to be traveling on Christmas Day, don't get too upset, but you're not going to see any celebrities likely, filming anything for the ABC and Disney Plus broadcast. A lot of that will actually happen kind of in that transitionary period from Halloween to Christmas. So the first 2 weeks of November, sometimes dipping a little bit later, a lot of times that's when the filmings will take place. They don't generally like publicize that. You'll see a lot of times when you're walking into either Magic Kingdom or Epcot, or even sometimes they've been filming a lot of segments at the other parks as well, Disneyland Park, of course. They'll have signage available saying that like, hey, we're filming today. By going in this area, you're consenting to be a part of the broadcast, things like that. But more often than not, anytime you see guests in the shot of something being filmed, they're actually cast members and cast members' family and friends, and they're invited to be a part of those special filmings. So if you're wanting to catch a glimpse of any of that, operationally and kind of see any of that celebration going on, early November is going to be your best bet. And now, like I said, in recent years, they've turned it into more of a celebration where there's stage performances and behind the scenes look, a little bit of the parade, stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of more like an added bonus if you happen to come across that during your time in the park at this point.
Yeah, I would
We
say
were actually there last year during the filming, like on accident. We didn't know, but
Yeah.
we noticed they changed the hours kind of really last minute on the app. You'll kind of randomly see they'll change the hours. And we really only knew because we had some people trying to park up to Magic Kingdom and their tickets suddenly weren't eligible. Because if you have any sort of blockout tickets, that becomes a blockout date for that night. My annual pass was just fine, shockingly, but yeah, it
Yeah.
was interesting. And there were fireworks early in the night. That's the other fun
Oh,
thing
yeah.
is they will do the fireworks super early and sometimes twice a night because they have to get multiple takes.
Yeah,
So
definitely keep an eye on the My Disney Experience app or the Disneyland app, depending on where you're at. And to that point too, I'm glad you mentioned that, Stephanie, because if you run into any of things like that, just, take it in stride. And if you have questions, ask the
exactly.
cast member, but a lot of times those frontline cast members who are just trying to direct traffic, get through their day, they're not going to have a lot of the answers that you're looking for. So of course, be kind and courteous there. And again, just take it as an added bonus if you run into any of that activity.
Totally.
Okay, I thought this question was good, and I actually get this a lot from my clients of Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party versus Jollywood Nights. Should I do one? Should I do both? Should I do none? Stephanie, what are your thoughts?
So this is like the new question, hot topic question, isn't it? I actually have not yet done Jollywood Nights. It's on my to-do list. I almost snuck it in last year, but then I think it was the only sold out night last year that I tried to go, which was sad. So I would say the biggest difference, obviously the fact, other than the fact that they're in different parks, is going to be the duration. So Jollywood Nights is a shorter event. It's only 6.5 hours if you consider the fact that you can get in at 7 and you can stay until 12:30. So that's quite a bit of it's more of an after hours event rather than it is a true holiday party. Whereas Mickey's Very Merry is going to be 8 hours if you get there right when the doors open at 4. You're also going to see a slight difference in price. Jollywood is a little bit less expensive to reflect that shorter event time, whereas Very Merry is going to be a little bit more expensive. Overall, they do have a lot of things in common. Both are going to have like a nighttime spectacular, whether that be Jingle Bell Jingle Bam or the, oh my gosh, what is the name of the fireworks that were at Magic Kingdom now?
It's Minnie something. Minnie is
yeah, they changed it because I feel
um,
like she didn't get her representation at she had the COVID party was her party, the
yeah.
like COVID year. It was like Minnie's special, but so anyway, whatever those fireworks are called at Magic Kingdom now, those are both still there. Both parties are going to have like a DJ and a dance party, which is always really fun. If you have littles, they always love the dance party. There's going to be special character meet and greets that you can only find at those events with characters in special outfits. I believe they're having Max in his Powerline outfit at Jollywood again this year. Very Merry is going to have kind of a couple extra inclusions. They have a true stage show, and some of the rides have Christmas overlays, which you won't see over at Hollywood Studios. And then when it's, you're asking yourself which one, it kind of depends on what your priorities are. Very Merry is probably going to be the better option for younger kids because, it's got a lot of the characters in the rides that are more relevant to them. Whereas I think the Jollywood Nights at Hollywood Studios is better for a little bit older kids or people who love Hollywood Studios, because that's going to be one of those times that you truly get reduced crowds at Hollywood Studios. And while there are more rides at Magic Kingdom, there are more popular rides at Hollywood Studios. All of those big ticket, you've got Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster, which finally reopened, Rise of the Resistance, like all of those rides with lower crowds. And I think that's your priority than Jollywood Nights. I think both, if you really love Christmas and you really want to pay to go to a reduced crowd event, is perfect. But otherwise, yeah, I think it just depends what your priorities are and kind of what your preferences are.
Well, I think also something to keep in mind is Jollywood Nights, this is its second year, its third year. It's so new. So I think they're going to be constantly evolving it and changing what's offered and making it, something that Disney's proud of. I know there was like a little bit of
there's some growing pains last year for sure. Yeah.
But I think
they were figuring out.
But I do agree. I think if you're a Hollywood Studios lover, and I think the vibe that they're trying to create is really different than Very Merry. It's supposed to be like glitzy, glam, and people in sequins.
Yeah, exactly.
Night on the town. So I think it's really fun, but I give it a little grace is what I tell my clients. I'm like, it's going to be evolving. Don't judge it too hard.
And if you're really looking for that like classic Christmas vibe, like you can't beat Very Merry. Like it is the most Christmassy Christmas event. Like everyone's all dressed up in Christmas gear. Everyone has like light necklaces on. Like it is just the best Christmas vibe. And I think Jollywood Nights is still finding its identity a little bit and like figuring out exactly what it's going to be moving forward. But I do think it is fun. It needs to figure out where it's going.
Well, and I think the cookies and the hot chocolate, even though small, is something to keep in mind, like especially with kids.
Absolutely.
It's an activity and it's a free food. So let's keep it in mind.
Exactly. And if it's free, it's for me. So
but on the same token, while not free, Jollywood Nights has booze.
Oh, true. And they have a lot of like cool exclusive snacks over there because they've got the Brown Derby, you've got I think last year even like Woody's Lunchbox did a couple things, which is fun. And those are both really fun, unique like restaurants as far as Disney goes. So I know they were a little overrun last year. So hopefully this year they figure out some crowd control in those places. But the booze is a plus for sure.
I'm team both parties. If you're
absolutely
if you're going to be visiting Walt Disney World and there's at least one party night at each, I'm pro party. If I can get on, those attractions at Hollywood Studios with a much shorter wait and get some of that fun holiday theming. I personally think Hollywood Studios has some of the best like vintagey Christmas decor across all of Walt Disney World. So I'm team both parties.
Me too. Doing both.
I agree. Looking at the math, and when it's not always, but a lot of the time, your party ticket and a day ticket are similar in cost. And if you can, if the crowds are lower and you can knock out those rides versus being there, all day on a busy day, it's something to keep in mind for sure.
There have been times where I've been in Very Merry and we ran out of rides to do that we hadn't already done. So we did, Pirates again or Haunted Mansion again, just because like we'd done everything and we were like, well, let's go again.
Speaking of rides, that was a great transition. We had a few questions about ride overlays, which I think we can all kind of touch a bit on. Haley, do you have any of your top favorites? I think we all have a top favorite, but
yeah. I'm a little biased being in Southern California. Disneyland always kills it with the ride overlays. I think Walt Disney World has a lot to learn from Disneyland in that regard. But you're going to find Small World Holiday. That's my personal favorite during the holiday season. Hopefully there's no flooding or any issues this year that it gets its full due. But I mean, the entire attraction inside and out is transformed. The soundtrack is totally different. I mean, it's almost like it's entirely new from from the rest of the year. So Small World Holiday, you've got that at Disney Park. You also have Haunted Mansion Holiday at Disneyland Park, which has been confirmed even with all of the Haunted Mansion updates happening. That will still be in place during both the Halloween and holiday seasons at Disneyland Park. So that's a really fun one. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else on the West Coast that gets a major overlay like that, but those are the two really marquee ones. I don't think it's just Monsters After Dark at I almost call it Cosmic Rewind, Mission Breakout. I don't think they have a Christmas holiday overlay.
The only thing I can think is I think Mater's Junkyard Jamboree plays this music.
So they play Christmas music?
Yeah.
And so does Luigi's. Yeah.
Which
which I feel like, Cars Land is so underrated, but like that also transforms during both Halloween and this holiday season. Soundtrack changes both in the land and then on the attractions, and just the way that they're able to incorporate like car parts and other fun things into their decorations. I mean, the Cozy Cone Motel makes
so
Christmas
cute.
trees out of cones. Like it's adorable.
Yeah, adorable.
That's not an area to be missed for sure.
Small World.
I agree. I'm also I haven't been on Small World Holiday yet. I missed it by one day because it was down when we were there in January. It was down the day that I was going to ride it, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just do it tomorrow." No, I missed it.
It's
Closed.
so good.
It's
And it's also it's so I'm gonna go off the tangent. It's so perfect because it's like classic Disney with Small World, but then it's incorporating Christmas and some of the newer like Disney innovations with like the Smellitzers, I think they call them. So you're going through, I think it's in the Dutch area. There's a whole gingerbread archway, and all of a sudden you're like, I can smell gingerbread all around me. And the characters are also hidden in there. It's great. It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, and they changed the exterior, or they used to. They still that was my favorite part was just like standing and watching like the little clock show that came out, but they were all in Christmas. I was like, oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And they light everything up to each night. It becomes its own separate show as well. So like the whole exterior facade and all the topiaries and everything all get lights. So around dusk every day, head back to, one day watch the tree lighting and Main Street light up, and then your next day go and watch Small World Holiday light up at dusk. Both are really fun.
We can't forget though Jingle Cruise, because Jingle Cruise
that's what I was thinking
is
of.
So I think it at Walt Disney World, really the only ride overlays are Space Mountain and Jingle Cruise. And Space Mountain is fine, sure, fun, whatever. Jingle Cruise, that, I mean, even at the party, the line's going to be long, but get in it, do it. It's so fun. They also do some theming in the queue, and it's just, I mean, who doesn't love a really bad holiday themed dad joke? Because I do, and they do it well. So Jingle Cruise, my favorite is of course Haunted Mansion Holiday, but Jingle Cruise is a solid number 2 for me. So
I love all the names, the new names they give to the boats.
Yeah, they're really fun. I love that one.
Well, and Stephanie, you brought up a great point that reminded me of that sometimes the holidays will bleed into that very first week of January, because I remember when our team was there, it was early January, and there was a couple people who were like, Small World, you could still see some of this stuff. So don't think you have to travel like in December. You still get it goes through New Year's, and it'll bleed into January a little bit too. So you can still catch some of those right over.
Especially at Disney World. Sometimes it's like through marathon weekend that they still have some of the stuff up. Like they take their time post Christmas getting those decor. I mean, relatable, because like who takes their Christmas tree down before January? Not me. So yeah, if you want to see some Christmas trees and you're at Disney World in January, there's still going to be some around. So
okay, last question, which is going to be a little round table. And I actually love this question because growing up my entire life, we went to Disneyland over Christmas. Actual Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, we were there. And I will admit, the secret got out. It used to be absolutely dead. This was probably 15 years ago. There was nobody there at Disneyland on Christmas Day, and the secret is out. Now it's pretty busy. So we had a question about the crowds kind of that week of actual Christmas Eve through New Year's Day. What's kind of the best option, how to navigate that, and kind of what you can expect at the parks on the actual days of the holidays. So let's open the floor. Let's chit chat a little bit about that, because I think that's a loaded question that we can unpack a little bit.
Yeah, the secret is definitely out, because they I mean, Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and then I think July 4th are like the three busiest days at the Disney parks at this point, and that's on both coasts. Kids are off from school, people are timing their longer vacations around the holidays, especially when, it's kind of fringe, either a Monday or a Friday. People are coordinating PTO and stuff like that from work. So it's definitely busy. I think the biggest thing is, again, like kind of we talked about with the party nights, is setting expectations that you're going to have to be flexible. You're going to have to pack your patience pants. And if you're not always a rope drop girly, like Stephanie mentioned, those are really the days to prioritize that. I've been to the Magic Kingdom Park in particular on both Christmas Day and New Year's Day, separate trips. And both of those days, the park actually closed for capacity. So while park reservations are still like a fringe use case, depending on the ticket type you have, get there early and plan for a long day if you're wanting to really stay in the park and see some of that, holiday themed entertainment. Once the after hours party season ends, so that December 20th, December 21st timeframe, that seasonal entertainment becomes part of daily operations, especially over at the Magic Kingdom. So it's a really great time to catch like the Once Upon a Christmas Time parade, the Very Merry Castle show, things like that. But there's gonna be a lot of people who want to do the same thing as you. So just be prepared, for the crowds. And on the New Year's side of things, a tip I always like to give, because New Year's Eve is going to be really crowded again at Magic Kingdom, but also at Epcot. So consider going to one of those parties on New Year's Eve on the 30th, because they will actually do their New Year's Eve fireworks and nighttime celebrations on that night, almost like a live dress rehearsal. And those are not to be missed. I mean, the fact that Disney was able to get fireworks to look like a countdown in the sky, it's hard to describe if you haven't been there in person or watched it on YouTube or whatever. It's not one to be missed. So if you're wanting to be in those parks on those busy days, it can be done, but get there early, be patient, be gracious with cast members, just set those expectations. Might be a good day for Genie Plus.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Whatever it's going to be called in the next 6 months.
Exactly. They keep changing it on us. Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing. Like, if you're not normally a Genie Plus, paid Lightning Lane kind of person, but you want to kind of do certain rides, meet certain characters, it could be a really good time to utilize those paid services, especially because, people always want to say, like, I paid so much money to be here. So did everybody. So, if you really want to make the most of your experience, like, definitely, it's worth it to spend a little bit more to try to take some of the pressure off the day. If you really want to ride Space Mountain, if you really want to try to get on Jingle Cruise that day, it's a great time. And I would also suggest, maybe if you have smaller children, not going to Epcot on New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve. It is an intense, everybody's having a good time, and it's a little bit intense. So if you have really young kids, it might be a lot. People are maybe having a couple too many drinks and having a little too much fun. So, if you have small kids, go somewhere else that night. Just, unless you don't mind, it's just something to consider.
Yeah. And take a look too at your resort entertainment schedule for the week. There's a lot of hidden gems at the resorts in general. I mean, I feel like people go to Walt Disney World and Disneyland for the parks, to experiences the parks, but if you're staying on a property, those recreation teams are going to be doing pool games and bar games, crafts. Yeah. And a lot of times they'll kind of save some surprises around the holidays as well. Whether it's a special cookie stand out in the lobby or things like that. If you're going to be at Walt Disney World, maybe just hop on the monorail loop and check out all the gingerbread displays on Christmas. Like,
absolutely,
that sounds awesome to me. And to not be shoulder to shoulder with somebody,
exactly.
in the theme, it's a win-win. So check out your resort schedule too, and see if anything, sounds attractive to you there.
Yep. Good time to hit the pool.
Mhm.
I totally agree. I always tell my clients, get your rides done early or later in the trip. Like I'm almost not concerned with riding any rides if I'm going to be there on Christmas Day. I want to enjoy the vibes. I want to have a nice meal. I want to, enjoy the park without waiting in line for a really long time for something that's going to just kind of color my experience. And in line with that, making sure if you are someone who Christmas dinner is really important to you. I know I have a lot of clients who really want to book a nice Christmas meal. Make sure you're working with a travel agent. We can help you grab those dining reservations because those Christmas dinners will get caught up really fast.
Absolutely.
Liberty Tree is the place to be for Christmas meal if you ask me. That is my favorite, not holiday, doesn't matter what day it is. That is the best meal in Magic Kingdom, in my personal opinion.
I've never eaten there.
I haven't.
If you like a holiday meal, it's so good. They have turkey, they have roast beef, and they have pork tenderloin, and it is so good. I am not even a turkey fan, and that turkey is so good. I feel like it's such an underappreciated meal. I believe you can get the same menu at the Golden Horseshoe. Is that the one that's at Disneyland? Again, my brain today, I don't know what it's called. It's like the Diamond Horseshoe at one and the Golden Horseshoe at the other. I don't know which one's which.
I think it's golden out here and diamond.
I think so. Yeah, maybe that's it. But I think it's the same menu. So if you ever can't get in at Liberty Tree has better vibes, but you can get the same food at the whole place, whatever it's called. It's such a good holiday meal though. I know a lot of people want to do the big steakhouse meal or whatever it is. But if you want a traditional holiday meal, Liberty Tree is perfect. So
awesome. Well, we are going to wrap up with just a little bit more information about booking your actual trip for the holidays at either Disneyland or Disney World. So if you've never worked with People Mover Travel, our services are free on commissionable packages. So that is most packages that you're booking for Disneyland and Disney World. There are a ton of great benefits. And if you've worked with us, you kind of have already experienced those benefits. But working with an agent, I'm extremely biased, but it's silly not to. We can help with, like I said, grabbing those dining reservations. We can help monitor price for your packages and make sure that you're paying the best price that is out there for your trip with your family. Expert guidance. We can help you with any questions that pop up or sitting on hold with Disney. That is our job. It's not yours. And we're just there to make sure that you have the most magical trip that you can, especially during the holidays when you're kind of navigating those extra ticketed events, holiday hours, visiting during those busier times. And you want to make sure that you hit everything on your to-do list. I think working with a travel agent is just your best option. So like I said, it's free to you and you are paying the same price that you would if you booked on the Disney site. So why not? We would love to work with you. I love when my clients are traveling at the holidays and I get to kind of share my love for the holiday season with them. It's just such an extra special treat. So as we wrap up, we do have a QR code here. If you're interested in getting a quote and being in contact with one of our agents, you can scan that. They'll get in touch with you and chat about any of your trips. Doesn't have to be holidays, but we would love to chat with you about any of your upcoming vacations. We are planning on releasing new videos, so please stay tuned. You can subscribe and see any of the new content that we have coming out. So thank you from me, from Stephanie, from Haley. We really enjoyed having you here today. And like I said, if you have questions that weren't answered in the chat box or didn't get a chance to add them, put them in the comments and we will respond. And happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.